Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Bonnie, for doing this. This makes it our job a lot easier to disseminate the message to the citizens out there. My name is Kathy Cheng. I'm candidate for Texas Supreme Court, place 6. This is the exact same position that I ran in 2018, and we came 4% to flipping that position. Now, I want folks to know out there, in 2018, people looked at the statewide race, especially the judicial race, and looked at it and go, it's not doable. And then the judicial race, like, why should we care? See, for many, many years, Texans were under the impression that judges were appointed because historically, a lot of these justices that's in the Supreme Court and even the past ones have been appointed. And because of the straight ticket voting, they get reelected over and over when parties press the R. Right? When in 2018, I decided we need to do something about that. As I traveled across the state of Texas, besides Beto, I was doing the same thing. Except I wasn't just campaigning for that position. I was traveling across the state of Texas, educating citizens how this position impacted them. Because let's be realistic, majority of Texans will probably in their lifetime never go to the Supreme Court. More or less a state court, district court, or even a court of appeals. So I had my hands full. Not only did I have to campaign, but I had to educate the voters, right? So I went around in red counties and blue counties because I knew I needed to reach out to the voters. When I'm elected, I will be representing all voters, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, or Independents. So when I traveled to the Republican areas, these Republicans say, Kathy, you guys are appointed. What are you doing? I said, what makes you think we're appointed? I said, well, you guys were never on the ballot. I said, have you ever looked at the ballot? Now, for the first time in their lives, and in my life, I've had Republicans apologizing to me, saying, I'm sorry. We only pressed the R and didn't realize that you guys were on the ballot. So the education process started. And I explained to them, look, the decisions that's made by the Supreme Court may not be about you right there, but it impacts you. If you have a business, some of these cases deal with business. If you're an employee or employer, some of these cases deal with employment law cases. If you had a loved one who passed away, or if you had a family member who got involved in a family law case, some of these cases deal with those areas of law. As a private practitioner out of Houston, greater Houston area, I practice in areas including commercial litigation, family law, tax, probate, real estate. And some of those cases are the areas of law are the cases that's heard on the Texas Supreme Court when it's appealed. So when I started explaining this to folks, they started realizing, I shouldn't just care about my legislatures. I should care about the judiciary. Because I get it, folks. There's nothing sexy about the judiciary, right? We're looked at as being boring folks. But once we started educating folks, what is it that we do? How to impact them? Then they understood. As the first candidate that went around the state of Texas doing this, I was also the first candidate and continue to be the first candidate to go out there and tell people, not only do I want you to vote for me, I want you to make sure you vote up the ballot. Why? Because a lot of times voters instinctively vote from the top, and then they look at the ballot and go, wow, this is a very long ballot. Forget it. Well, if you think about it for a second, which candidates are the ones that's more important and closer to you? These are the candidates, your local candidates. Commissioners, constables, sheriffs. So I was the first candidate to travel across the state of Texas, campaigning for my position, educating voters, bringing out the idea that vote up the ballot. I'm also the first candidate to bring up to the voters' attention that as a female candidate, across the state of Texas, we were having issues getting assistance, whether it's financially or just any type of support, especially those candidates in rural counties, which is why I traveled across the state of Texas, especially rural counties. Richard earlier was saying, Kathy, I still remember you showed up our meeting. We were all under a little gazebo. That's how many people were Democrats. We all fit underneath the gazebo. But look now, right? So, folks, in reality, I have an opponent here that's running for this race, but in reality, we're all qualified. It all boils down to electability. If we want to win, and we want to win big, and in Texas, you either go big or you go home, and I'm all about going big. We need to elect people in the primaries who's electable in November. And I am that candidate because I'm Kathy Cheng, Cheng for change, Cheng for change, Cheng for change.